See you all. Recording in progress. Yeah. Nice to see you all again. We'll be going through Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura's song from his Kalyana Kalpataru, one of his many songs. This will be song 14. And then we have Dharmagupta wants to make a show and tell. It'll be, he said it'll take 10 or 15 minutes, okay. And then we'll see what else happens. At some point, we may do some more hermeneutics. And we may see what else happens, see what questions come up. We try not to be too rigid in our program. And I'd like to see what's on your mind. I think I can get rid of that. Yeah. Okay. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnanam Janas. How does the verse go? My brain's not working today. Shalakaya Chakshurun militam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam yena bhutale Svayam rupa kadamahyam Dadati svapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitangscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Bhaktin Olia, who are our young friends with you? Wer sind die beiden?
This is my daughter.
Uh-huh.
It is Mila. It is Enrique. And smallest sleep now.
Okay.
And our men's are away.
Uh-huh.
Have a word. Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so yeah, welcome everyone again. We're going to sing. First, we're going to read through Bhaktivinoda Thakura's song, To His Mind, Our Minds, a prayer to the mind. Mano, Tumi Tirthe Rata. Just check something. Okay. Tumi Tirthe Rata, ayodhya, mathura, maya, kashi, kanci, abantiya, dvarabati, jata. My dear mind, you're always attached to all the different places of pilgrimage, such as ayodhya, mathura, maya, kashi, that is Varanasi, Kanchipura, Abantiya, Dvarabati, and so on. Tumi caho, bhramibare, sakala, mukti-labha, koribara, tare. She sakal taba brahm, nirartaka parishram, chitta tirthe nahi kore. You want to travel to all these holy places of pilgrimage again and again, simply for the sake of obtaining liberation from the material miseries. But we actually see that your heart is not becoming resolutely fixed up by going to all these places. Therefore, all of your wanderings are simply useless labor for nothing tangible. Near artaka means having no benefit, no arta, making no benefit. Parishram, simply a lot of effort. She shakal tab brahm. Brahm, actually it's interesting that he uses the word brahm here because it can mean both wandering and it can mean mistake. So all your wandering is all a mistake. Tumi chao bhramibare. You're wandering about shakal bare, repeatedly. Mukti-labha koribara tare. You're doing it with the desire, the hope of getting mukti-labha. Jai shakal brahm nirartak parisham. Chitta tirthe nahi kore. And you're not getting your consciousness, chitta, is not stira. It's not fixed by this going to the different tirthas or in the tirthas, tirthe. The tirthas are not making your mind steady. Tirtha-phal, sadhu-sanga, sadhu-sange antarango, sri-krsna-bhajana manohar. Jata sadhu tota tirtha. Stir kori nija chitta. Sadhu-sanga koro nirantar. The ripened fruit, tirtha-phal, and real benefit of any place of pilgrimage, tirtha-phal, is the company of the pure-hearted devotees, sadhu-sanga, of the Lord. Establishing intimate and friendly relations with such devotees, sadhu-sange antaranga, intimate and friendly relations. Sri-krsna-bhajana manohar, let your mind be captivated by performing the charming worship of Lord Krishna. Manohar means the theft of the mind. Actually, any place in the entire world becomes a worshipable place of pilgrimage if devotees are living there. Jata sadhu, tata tirtha. Where there is sadhu, there is tirtha. I think someone's microphone may be on. Yeah, there's some scraping sound. Who is the culprit? Let's see. Anyway, okay. Yeah, jata sadhu tata tirtha stir korini cha chitta. Thus you should immediately seek out such a place wherever you happen to be, and you should become fixed. Stir koriya, becoming fixed. Nija chitta. Here he translates, fixed up in Krishna consciousness, sadhu-sanga koro nirantar, by constantly remaining in the company of such devotees. And verse 4, Jai tirthe Vaishnava nahi, she tirthe nahi jai. Ki labh hantiya dura-desa. Jata Vaishnava-gana sheshthan Vrindavan. Shesthane ananda ashesh. Personally, I never bothered to visit any so-called place of pilgrimage which is devoid of the presence of unalloyed devotees. For what other worthwhile benefit could possibly be gained by taking the trouble of walking to such faraway places? Ki labh hantiya dura-desa. Dura means far. Desha, land or place. Ki labh, what's to be gained? Hantiya, by this, making this effort, I guess. Only that place which is graced by the presence of the devotees is actually Vrindavan. Jotai Vaishnava-gana sheshtan Vrindavan. That place where are Vaishnavas, the assembly of Vaishnavas, Vaishnava-gana. Sheshtan, that place is Vrindavan. Sheshtane ananda ashesh, and only at that place can you come into contact with unlimited spiritual pleasure. And verse 5, liberation personified. Krishna-bhakti jestane mukti-dasi shekane shalila totai mandakini giri tata govardhana bhumi tata brindavana abhirbhuta apani ladini. Liberation personified is herself the humble maidservant of that place which is surcharged with devotion to Krishna. Krishna Bhakti Jestane. Shekhane, that place. There's Ekane and Okane in Bengali. Ekane is here, Okane is there. Shekhane is right here. I think Ekane also means now. Eva Radhika is with us. She can confirm. Are you there? There she is. Yes.
Hi, Krishna Raj. Yes, it would be Sheikh Khane. That would be, yeah, Sheikh Khane means in terms of place, and Sheikh Khane is a little different. Sheikh Khane would be in terms of time.
Oh, so one is short ah and one is long ah.
Yes, Maharaj.
Oh, thank you. All these years I didn't know this. So then it's which is which? Shekhane.
Sheikh Khane is locational in terms of location. We are talking about the longer one. Yes.
Okay. And Shekhane
Sheikh
is
Khane
time.
is in terms of time.
Is time. Okay. And that goes also for Ekane and there's Ekane and Ekone.
Yes, the term Khane is about time. So when we say a
from Kshan, from Kshana,
yes.
a Kshana, this moment.
Yes, yes, Maharaj. It is Khan is time.
We're getting confirmation from Sugopi.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you both. All right, now we're getting full lesson here. Okay, so it goes on to say, all the water at that place is the celestial Ganga. Mandakini is a name for the celestial Ganga. It's also the Ganga in the Himalaya before it becomes specifically Ganga. It's also, so at Badrinath, that is there, the Ganga is called Mandakini, as I understand. No, it's Alakananda. I don't know. One of the, maybe it's Alakananda. But Mandakini is there somewhere. Okay. Every hill there is Giri Govardhan, and the very earth is indeed Vrindavan. Only such a place can manifest the appearance of the eternal spiritual joy, which is revealed by the Lord's pleasure potency. So only what such place? A place which is surcharged with devotion to Krishna. And how is it surcharged with devotion to Krishna? Because there are Krishna bhaktas, Vaishnavas present there, Vaisnava-gana. And then finally, Binod kohiche bhai, Brahmiya ki pal pai, Vaishnava shebon mor broto. I ask you now, dear brother, what benefit would I get by circumambulating all of the holy places of pilgrimage? Brahmiya ki pal pai. What fruit will I gain? Do I gain? Brahmiya, by wandering about like this. personally, my vow is to serve the Vaishnavas with firm resolution and untiring endeavor. Vaishnava Sevana, more Rata. My Rata, my vow is Vaishnava Sevana. Nice, nice, okay. Let's see now. Mana Tumi Tirthe Rata Mana Tumi Tirthe Rata ayodhya mathura maya kanci abantiya ayodhya mathura maya kanci abantiya dvarabati ache jata dvarabati ache jata Tumi caho bhramibare sakala bare Tumi caho bhramibare sakala bare mukti-labha koribara tare mukti-labha koribara tare sakala tava brahma nirartaka harishrama sakala tava brahma nirartaka harishrama chitta stira tirthe nahi kori chitta stira tirthe nahi kore tirtha-phal sadhu-sanga sadhu-sange antaranga tirtha-phal sadhu-sanga sadhu-sange antaranga sri-krsna-bhajana manohara sri-krsna-bhajana manohara jata sadhu tata tirtha stira kori nija chitta jata sadhu tata tirtha stira kori nija chitta sadhu-sanga koro nirantara sadhu-sanga koro nirantara Jai Tirthe Vaishnava Nai She Tirthe Nahi Chai Jai Tirthe Vaishnava Nai She Tirthe Nahi Chai Kila Hantiya dura-desa Kila abantiya dura-desa jata baisnaba-gana sesthana vrindavana jata baisnaba-gana sesthana vrindavana sesthane ananda asesha sesthane ananda asesha Krishna-bhakti jaistane mukti-dashi shekhane Krishna-bhakti jaistane mukti-dashi shekhane shalila tatai manda kini shalila tatai manda kini giri tata govardhana bhumi tata vrindavana avirbhuta apani ladini avirbhuta apani ladini vinodha kohiche bai bhramibare palapai Vinoda kohiche bai bhramibare palapai Vaishnava sevana mora Rata Vaishnava sevana mora Rata Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Haribo, 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 Haribo. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Gora Haribo, Nitai. Yeah, Bhaktivinoda Thakura ki jai. And our thanks to our backup band, Madai Jivan and Salim. Okay. Yeah, so places of pilgrimage. Good to go if there's Krishna Bhakti happening there. If not, why bother? This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying, why bother? And it's a prayer to the mind, which suggests to me also that in the mind, one can also take pilgrimage, which is a good thing to know for these days, because travel is may be restricted for many or most of us, physical travel. We also reduce our carbon footprint by staying in one place. Yeah. We may be reducing our carbon footprint, and meanwhile, 100 other people are increasing their carbon footprint in our place. What to do? Okay, so what do we do now? I think now it's time. Dharmagupta, do you want to share what you're sharing? Are you there?
Yes, Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
There he is.
Hare Krishna devotees. So basically, I would like to introduce small project which we have here locally with Expo 2020.
Here means Dubai, right?
Yes, in Damodar Dash Yatra. So with Expo 2020 just recently started a few days back, precisely on Thursday, with big pomp and with big opening ceremony, which was followed all around the world. Maybe some of you have followed as well. Just a few words about Expo. Expo is basically a exhibition which is happening every 4 years in different places around the world. And this, like a 2020, last year was supposed to be open here, but due to the pandemic situation, it was postponed for 1 year later. So it opened basically just a few days back, as I said. And Expo is like an exhibition of different cultural and technological and sustainability and different, how to say, endeavors of local communities in different countries to present what their achievements and their plans for the future and so on. So basically, here they built for the first time I think 192 countries are participating in Expo, and they built here a huge facility. It's a size of a smaller city. I think like a 10 square kilometers facility, and it's pretty impressive. So we are expecting here lots of visitors throughout the following 6 months of the duration of the Expo. And of course, local devotee community took part in it, and especially the youth, ISKCON youth. So they will be having several programs throughout the duration of Expo, throughout the following 6 months, with first starting today. And that's I'll try to share the screen just to see the program, how it looks like. Second. So this is the project is called Stay Rooted, and it's completely done by ISKCON youth of our local community here. What it composed of, the idea was to be in several parts. So first part will be with the theme of sustainability, with sustainability being one of the 3 major parts of Expo, major themes of Expo. There is a mobility, sustainability, and opportunity. There's 3 main sections of Expo exhibition. So within the sustainability, as Guru Maharaj said, like reducing the footprint. So actually, yeah, talking about that, we're actually in the bottom part of the screen, you can see the reducing the carbon footprint as on a path of being vegetarian. So that's the idea of the project. The devotees will be performing and having different panels within the India pavilion. and it's always done under the India Chamber of Commerce. And we have a very, very good cooperation with India Chamber of Commerce, and many famous people from India will come from the parliament to inaugurate the Stay Rooted project. So it's opening today. I just spoke to Chiranjeeva Shyam Prabhu, who is leading the project. And he said that it's very, very exciting. Many people are already there. And they will be having first the promotion of vegetarian lifestyle through the Vedic ethics and Vedic narrative. Then in the second section, which will be held in November and December, there will be huge kirtan events. They're held in India Pavilion as well, where they're expecting to have not only devotees from Vrindavan and Mayapur to come, but only in famous dancers in the Bharatnatyam dance and different performances. So it's really like a amazing and massive event here, and we are really excited to take part in it, to do some service there. It's really lots of participants, lots of guests are coming through from all over the world, and it's what impressed me personally was the way of preaching, how we can actually preach in such an event, which was on the first glance it was unrelated to ISKCON as such, but we here, as we living here for a while, we used to find every single opportunity to present certain parts, certain sections of devotional service and fit it into the local events, local community, but at the same time not creating a lot of turmoil here for the local government or something, because it's really, really sensitive to religious topics. And so here is actually for the first time in the history that ISKCON is presented with the ISKCON logo in United Arab Emirates and generally in GCC, in Gulf Cooperation Council countries. So for the first time in UAE, there will be like a ISKCON presented with the ISKCON logo in India Pavilion for almost 6 months with different events, including the large kirtans and, as I said, promotion of vegetarian diet lifestyle and many other cultural events which will follow, including the stories for kids from Srimad Bhagavatam, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and so on. So it's like a really, really interesting project, an interesting way and narrative how to present Hare Krishna movement and how to present the Vedic tradition and philosophy in a, let's say, palatable way, in a very nice way to fit into the local community and to fit into the local events, which are here. There are plenty of them, obviously. So we are doing our best to take part in it and offer give our contribution to these nice projects and nice events. Yeah, that's it from my side here. So we are seeking your blessings, Guru Maharaj and devotees, to present and to do that service in a best possible way.
Yes, sounds very energetic, and sounds like you have a lot of bright people doing this. So I'm sure it'll be successful. I'm reminded, because you said devotees are finding ways to be present in all kinds of things, their situations in Dubai. And it just reminds me, in Berkeley, California, when I was first seeing devotees, they were always there chanting Hare Krishna in public. not that you're doing that there, but the point is that it would come in the newspaper even. There would be some big political rally or riot. We had our interesting times in Berkeley, and the newspaper would describe the scene and the crowds and the police and on, and they would say, and of course the Hare Krishnas were also present. Of course, we were always, I wasn't with them yet, but, and of course the Hare Krishnas. So it's going to become like that in Dubai also. And of course, the Hare Krishnas were also there.
Nice. They tried also, he told me that they tried to put the Rata Yatra as well, but it it didn't pass by because of this social distancing kind of thing. And it was not, because it's very, very strict. They're extremely strict. The highest imaginable measures, they have like a 4,000 people staff only there who are like permanently there in several shifts. Many of them they have their own PCR facility center and everything. I mean, it's like unimaginable how it looks like. It's really like end of the world, really. But it's really nice. So we're finding our ways here to smuggle here and there some things, like some prasadam, some kirtan, some.
Very good. So let it increase, as Prabhupada said.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Haribol, thank you. Okay. Anyone else have something you want to share today? Some news? Is any news? Anything from yourself or from your surroundings? Anything anything somehow related to Krishna? No? I have to start calling.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Oh,
Super
okay.
here.
Yes.
Yeah. I just
traveling.
came out of my, yes, I'm traveling, and the most amazing part, I just saw so many cows just outside my society gate. That is very unlikely. Like it might be around hundreds of them. And I took some pictures, which is it's very, very rare to find cows on the main city, main road. Yeah, and I asked where they're coming from, and they are coming from Rajasthan, all the way from Rajasthan. Cows have big horns, probably Congress, some breed is there.
Congress, yeah.
Congress, yeah, probably. So I got quite excited seeing them.
Well, I just hope they're not. I just hope they're not being transported for
I don't
slaughter.
think so. I hope not so. No, because because in Haryana it is banned. Slaughtering cows is banned in Haryana.
Okay.
So I hope that they will be safe. And they were looking genuine cow herd men, but I don't know where they are going. And in a few days back, on 2nd of September, the Allahabad High Court suggested to make cow the national animal of India. Like it's white tiger, so many years, Royal Bengal tiger, but now, they have suggested, and basically for the protection of cows, cows being so much, and I hope that passes, like the bill is passed. And
that would be interesting.
So,
see what happens.
Thank you.
Is that Aditi in the back seat?
Yes, my parents are here.
Oh, your parents.
My dad and yes.
Whole family is there.
Yeah, they're saying namaste and Hare Krishna, and Aditi is there.
Hare Krishna, greetings to all. Okay, thank you. All right, little news from India. Okay, let's see then. What else? What else? What else? Oh, Devashri Radhika, you want to share something?
Hi Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. My humble obeisances to all the devotees. I had a question, Maharaj, if I may ask.
Okay.
While we were discussing this song, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks so much about how the holy dham is determined by the devotees. So that way devotees actually are also in a way the place of pilgrimage.
Mm-hmm.
And just yesterday, my roommate and I, we were discussing about this factor, that she also had this experience of staying in the outside world and then coming to the temple and staying. And we were sharing our experiences. And both of us were talking about how when we were living on when we are in the outside world and as a congregation member, we feel the difference. And both of us, we had this phase in life when we were really struggling and we were hankering for the association of devotees. And then we were discussing how when we are within the community of devotees and when we are living with them, there are difficult circumstances, and where this fact that devotees themselves are a place of pilgrimage, we forget that. And but we also hear how devotees are so dear to Krishna, and how the love for devotees is prioritized over everything else. So how must one remind themselves or oneself about how to always remember that devotees are a place of pilgrimage, and devotees make us Krishna conscious in some ways.
Mm. Yeah, it's an interesting point that when one is away from devotees, one hankers for association, and then when you're in the association of devotees, you might be not always so excited to be in the association of devotees, thinking, oh, this one and that one, and oh. Well, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur reminds us, so we get these reminders. That's all I would say. And also to think, to use our intelligence to think of what if I were in a situation where I was denied. In other words, sometimes, how to put it, we may have some devotees around us and we may think, yeah, well, okay, but they're kind of, I don't know, they each have their quirks or whatever. But then consider, which would you rather have? Would you rather have the non-devotee association, those who have no interest in Krishna and simply want to, I don't know, they have other interests. Or would you rather have those around you who are interested in Krishna? Of course, we also, I think all of us, we know many people who are not, we say in English, card-carrying devotees, but they're really nice people. They have lots of good qualities. And they may be inspirations for us in many ways. So I guess here the point is we want to be a little careful not to draw the line too sharply and say these are the devotees and those are the demons. Even though in the Bhagavatam, there is the verse that says the devotees have all good qualities and those who are not devotees have no good qualities. Yes. But that's a kind of rhetorical statement. I think it's not, we have to be careful how we take that. That would be an example of a statement to consider with respect to our hermeneutics project. Yeah, that's what comes to my mind. And it's always made a nice point that when we feel some less than appreciation for devotees, but we're in their association, then we can ask ourselves, what can I do to serve them? Is there some little service that I could do for this devotee, for that devotee? Dadati pratigrinati. Is there something I could share, something I could give? Can I serve them prasadam? Can I do something proactively that will open up that relation of connection with Krishna? Because it's through our connection with Krishna that we can appreciate anyone, isn't it? It's just the devotees are making a more effort to be facing toward Krishna, to be serving Krishna, than perhaps the vast majority of people are doing. Is that okay? Oh, Salim has a point or a question. Okay.
Would like to ask that we should not draw the line too sharply in association with devotees. So how should we ourselves distinguish which association is beneficial and which is like a just a friendly association?
Okay. Salim is asking if we're not drawing such a sharp line between devotee, non-devotee, then how to discriminate which association is good for us and which is not. I would say it's a matter of experience. It's the basic principle is any person that helps us in connecting with Krishna, helps us in being in service, in being attracted to Krishna, that is good. Anything that draws us away may not be so good, but there may be some quality that a person shows, maybe not officially engaged in bhakti yoga, but they may have some quality that we can learn from. So we can then take that for ourselves and appreciate. But yeah, I would say it's a matter of experience. And we can also think of it in terms of nourishment. Am I nourished by this association with this person, or am I losing nourishment? Am I spiritually nourished, or is something else happening? Of course, we all live in complex societies with many complex relationships. And, we all need to find our way through and amongst and with our different associates that we have connection with one way or another in the best way we can. Always, what's our priority? Our priority is to cultivate Krishna Bhakti, and we do our best. Where someone we're with doesn't have any doesn't show any Krishna Bhakti, maybe we can do something for them to open up their Krishna Bhakti. Maybe we can encourage them in one way or another. Tell them something about Krishna, something about spiritual practice. Give them prasadam. Give them a book. And so on. Yeah. Okay. Oh, it's already an hour gone. Anyone else? Something to share? Okay. Maybe I'll start then with our hermeneutics, and the way I thought to start this let's see. Oh. Okay. Yeah. So a day or two ago, I received an email from Anandamayi Dasi asking a question about a particular verse in the Bhagavatam. And I thought, okay, let's look at that verse and let's maybe with that verse, we can think about hermeneutics, because it's a verse with some interesting technical aspects of yoga. We might also get some help. It just occurred to me, we may get some help from Vrindapati. He knows about all these things, I think. Okay, but the verse is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11. Let me see if I can share this. Share. Yeah. Share and share. There we are. Yes. Okay, you can see my screen. Do you also see the arrow on the screen?
Yes, Guru.
Yes.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, good. All right, so here's the verse. This is Lord Krishna speaking, and he's speaking to Uddhava. It is Canto 11, Chapter 14, verse 34. Hridyavicchinnam omkaram gandhanadam visornavat praneno diryatatrata puna sangveshayet saram. Beginning from the Muladhara chakra. Now, first thing we may notice is that there's no mention of Muladhara chakra in the verse, in the Sanskrit. But let's keep going. Beginning from the Muladhara chakra, one should move the life air continuously upward, like the fibers in the lotus stalk, until one reaches the heart, where the sacred syllable Om is situated like the sound of a bell. One should thus continue raising the sacred syllable upward, the distance of 12 angulas, and there the Omkara should be joined together with the 15 vibrations produced with Anusvara. Okay. And then we have a short purport from the followers of Srila Prabhupada. This, as most of you know, Srila Prabhupada translated and wrote his commentary up through Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 13. the Brahma Vimohan Lila, before he departed this world, prior to which he specifically gave the task to complete the Bhagavatam to His Holiness Sri Dayananda Das Goswami and his team. It may be that Pradyumna was also named Pradyumna Prabhu, I don't remember. Gopi Paranadana Prabhu was also very involved in this work. And so this translation and purport is from them. As best I know, it was mainly Hridayananda Maharaj who was doing the purports. A rather short one in this case. It appears that the yoga system is somewhat technical and difficult to perform. Anusvara refers to a nasal vibration pronounced after the 15 Sanskrit vowels. The complete explanation of this process is extremely complicated and obviously unsuitable for this age. From this description, we can appreciate the sophisticated achievements of those who in former ages practiced mystic meditation. Despite such appreciation, however, we should stick firmly to the simple, foolproof method of meditation prescribed for the present age, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, now what can we say more about this? Well, the first thing, maybe I can just explain my procedure, because I was thinking, well, indeed, the question Anandamayi had basically is how to understand this. And I thought, well, let's see what we can understand from it. But the first thing I wanted to do was see the context. And this is a very important principle in hermeneutics. Context. Where do we find this verse? What is the subject of the broader series of verses? And one can sort of imagine, if you like, concentric circles where you have a particular verse or statement in the middle, and then you have a circle around that and a wider circle around that. You have wider and wider circles of context. And we might want to say that the widest context in terms of Shastra, like someone may hear this verse and say, well, where is it? And you say, it's in Srimad Bhagavatam. Oh, okay. So that may explain a lot for many people. Oh, it's in Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so it is. That already tells a lot. It's, for one thing, it tells us that it's within the scripture, which Srila Jiva Goswami said is the authorized scripture for us for this age. And that's a whole subject. We've maybe talked a bit about it before, but he kind of narrows down from all kinds of scripture and he says, okay, this is the one for us for many reasons he gives in Tattva Sandarbha. And then from there, we can narrow it down more. We can say, this is in the 11th canto. So it's after Krishna's pastimes. The 10th canto is very much all Krishna's biography, if you like. But Krishna's biography is not over in the 11th canto. He's still with us, but he's coming toward the end of his pastimes, his manifest pastimes. And how is he concluding them? He's concluding them, he's concluding them by speaking to Uddhava, his dear friend and cousin. And he's speaking to him at great length on many different topics. And we can say that he is expanding on so many teachings, especially Bhagavad Gita, we might want to say. And in particular, what we find in this chapter would seem to be a kind of expansion of subject that we find in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is giving an overview of what comes to be called Ashtanga Yoga, Ashtanga, the Eightfold Yoga system. It's not referred to like that in Bhagavad Gita, and I don't know if it is in the Uddhava Sandesh anywhere referred to that way. And so, in that context, we're getting a bit more of a sense of what's going on. Now, because it's the Bhagavatam, one thing we can see is, although it's an expansion of teachings in Bhagavad Gita, it's still a summary. It's still summarizing what may be expanded somewhere else. And we may not know where it's expanded. But since Jiva Goswami is saying what really matters for us in this age is Srimad Bhagavatam, that suggests that maybe it doesn't matter a whole lot what the greater elaboration would be. Maybe this is enough for us. And that seems to be the point that is being made here in the purport, that this is for other ages. We just need to remember to chant Hare Krishna. Yeah, okay, but still, it's in the Bhagavatam. So how can we understand it? Well, at this point, it may help. We could say more about context, but I'll go on to another point now. We may go to look at commentaries to this verse. So that's what I decided to do. Hold on here. That's not the one I wanted. That's the other one. Okay. Window. Yeah. Okay. And I had meant to show you this. Let's see. Now I have to stop share and then start share again. And then we go to preview and share. Okay, and you can see that. All right, so this is one page of the edition of the Srimad Bhagavatam, one of the editions that Srila Prabhupada used when he was translating and commenting Srimad Bhagavatam. This is one page of an edition that was published by a group of scholars in Ahmedabad, I think, in the early 60s. And it's in several volumes, and it has commentaries. It has what's called the mula text, the mula, the root, and that's what you see in the somewhat larger text here. So what we have here, this is Canto 11, Chapter 14, verses 33 through 40. And then that's what we see. This is 33, 34, up through 40. And these are these verses. Sometimes it'll be a group of just 2 or 3 verses. Sometimes it'll be more in one sort of group, one clump. And now this will be followed by the various commentators. Now, in this case, I don't know, this is Krishna Priya Vyakya. I don't know who this is. Usually it starts with Sridhar Swami's commentary, and that's what we have here. Sridhar Swami Virachita. Virachita means written by or composed by. Bhavartha Deepika, that's the name of his commentary. And here's his commentary for verse 33, then 34, goes up to somewhere here, 34, and then 35 is very short, and 36 goes up to here, 37, 38, and 39, he combines. So that's all he gives. It's just, what is it, about 10 lines or 11 lines for all these verses together. And as many of you will know, Sridhar Swami is highly respected in our tradition as the sort of primary commentator on the Bhagavatam, even though he is considered to come from considered to be a follower of Shankaracharya. Go figure. Well, it seems that he is basically a devotee, and sometimes he maybe slips into some non-dualist explanation of things, but in any case, he's highly respected. Now, this is one commentary, and then on the, I think it's 2 pages later, we find here some other commentaries. This is Srimad Jiva Goswami Krita Krama Sandarbha. Not even 3 lines for all, actually more than the verses listed.
It's not showing now, the next page.
It's not showing? Oh.
It's showing the old page of Sridhar Swami.
It's still showing the old page?
Of Sridhar Swami.
Yeah. Oh, what do I have to do? Then I have to disconnect again. Stop share. And share screen. And, oh, I know what I have to do. Okay. Yeah, hold on. I have to. No, I don't know. Yeah, this should be right now. How's that?
Now, chats with Gupta Prabhu showing.
Say again.
There are chats with Gupta Prabhu WhatsApp chats or something.
Oh. Oh dear. All right. Technology. I want to get this. And it's here. Should be this. Huh? Yeah, that should work. No? It's not showing it.
Yes,
now it shows it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so Now, if you look at the arrow, it says Srimad Jiva Goswami Krita, means done by Jiva Goswami, Krama Sandarbha, which is one of his works, in which he gives very, 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 very brief, generally, commentary, just to clarify a few, often just little technical points. So that's all that he gives. And then after that, we have Srimad Vishwanath Chakravarti Krita Sarartha Darshini. That's his commentary. And you see his is also quite short. So even without reading or even without understanding these commentaries, one thing we can understand is they don't seem to think it's very important. Now, there is a commentary, however, this would take me a bit longer to dig out and show. It's another page. Or, let me see. This was on the second page. Let me try. No, that's that one. Oh, there it is. Okay. At least we're learning a bit how to use this stuff. Okay. Now, to get what I just opened up on the page, I guess I have to again, do I have to again stop and start? The same page? Well, it's the same program, but it's a new page. But it seems like, yeah, because the green is, so I can't just transfer it. Okay. Whatever. And like this, and then like this. That should work. 6, 5, 7, yes. Share. Ta-da. There's a saying in English, when there's something you hear which makes absolutely no sense to you, we say, it sounds like Greek to me. So you may be looking at this page and saying, it looks like Sanskrit to me. And you'd be right, it is. So all I wanted to show here is that we do have one commentary, and there's a few more, but not so many on these verses. But this is from one Vamshidhara Krita. Vamshidhara is his name. Krita, done, Bhavartadipika Prakasha. So Bhavartadipika Prakasha means this is what's called a sub-commentary to Sridhar Swami's commentary. And sometimes this happens, someone will write a commentary to a commentary. So this actually follows immediately after Sridhar Swami's commentary. And who, we may ask, is Vamshidhara? There's not much known about him, but he's quite recent. He's apparently from the 19th century. And he sometimes, or maybe quite often, he quotes Sridhar Swami, but he also quotes Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura. But more than that, I can't tell you about him. But what I wanted to say here is, this is where number 33 commentary ends. So he gives already a lot more for 33. And then for 34, he really gets into it. He goes from this point all the way down, somewhere. 19, I had it marked, oh, here, down to here, 34. He has a lot to say, but most of what he's saying, I couldn't follow a lot, most of it, but I got the general idea. After he gives the basic points, which the other Goswamis give, the other acharyas, then what does he do? He quotes from or cites, I don't know if he's directly, maybe he's quoting from what he calls the Bindu Upanishad. That's what it says here. Bindu Upanishad 2, and then he talks about sounds, Goshani, Pratama Matra, and he goes into a whole thing about names of first, second, third matras, parts of sound, apparently. It gets, as Sri Dayanandamar said, it gets quite technical. So I went a step further, but only a short step, to look, as one can nowadays on the internet, what is this Bindu Upanishad? And all I found out wasn't enough time to do more than to find out that there's not one Bindu Upanishad. There are 5 Bindu Upanishads. There's an Amrita Bindu, a Dhyana Bindu, Nada Bindu, and 2 others. So he doesn't specify which Bindu he's referring to. And so one is left to, if one wanted to find exactly what's going on here, one would probably have to dig through these different Upanishads to see. Okay, so what? Well, let's go back to the verse now and see what more we can figure out from it. Back to the verse, and we have the verse. Yeah. Yeah, so one thing you may wonder is, well, it says, what is it saying about Muladhara Chakra? One should move from there up and so on. And that's not in the verse. No, it's not in the verse. It's from the commentators. And as I remember, Kshetra Swami mentions, and it seems all the others, many of the commentators will simply copy what others have said in their commentators, in their commentaries. I see lots of comments in the comments section here. But there's something else I was noticing. I found Bhanu Swami's translation of this verse and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's translation and verse. And it's just interesting to note that for him, Visa Urna Vat says, like the fiber running up the lotus stalk. Yes, that's what it means. But Bhanu Swami adds that the point is that it's extremely thin. The point of the analogy, right? Because it's an analogy. Visha Urnavat. It's like the fiber running. The sound. How is the sound like the fiber running up the stalk? He says it means that it's thin. Whereas here in this translation, it's about the life air continuously going upward like the fibers of a stalk. So that's a different interpretation. I'm inclined to go with Bhanu Swami's because it ties in with Gantanadam Omkaram. It's the next line is pranena. Anyway. And then all this about the 12 thumb breadths. Yes, the commentators talk about dvadasha angula, and an angula, in the translation we get 12 angulas. An angula can be a finger or a thumb. Thumbs are generally thicker than the other fingers, but somehow they decided to make it 12 thumb breadths. And then that would seem to be giving a measure from the Muladhara chakra up to the heart, but I'm not so sure that's the point. And then we have this mention of 15 vibrations. Now that was the only place I found 15 vibrations was in Vamshidhara's commentary. So apparently they were, I can well imagine that was Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu finding that. And then it says they joined together. Well, samveshayet. One should join together. Okay, possibly, but samveshayet could also mean one should enter together, because it's from vish, to enter. And some can mean together. And I believe it was Jiva or Vishwanath said, gives a gloss for samveshayet as stiri kuryat, to make firm. So you get different interpretations, and is one of them right and one of them wrong? Not necessarily, but when it comes to technical practices of basically what's going on here is pranayama. Naturally, one wants to know how to do it right if one is going to be trying to do it. Another point, though, is one thing we see in the Bhagavatam in general is a blending of Vedic and Tantric elements. And I would say that's what's happening here. We're getting some Tantric elements, which is very concerned with sounds, with mantra, and single syllables, bija syllables. So taking, as we have mentioned here, 15 Sanskrit vowels and adding anusvara, it may be referring to making the sound or hearing the sound. Ang and ang, so a, I, u, r, ri, l, ri, a, I, o, ow. All of these with anusvar at the end. So ang, ing, no, the other way around. Yes. Anyway, like that. The main point being that now I'm basically speculating. And I wanted to ask Vrindapati if he can shed some light on this from his yoga studies.
Hare Krishna. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, yes.
Thank you for such an illuminating explanation that you gave very expertly on and everything. I don't think I can do any justice in front of my guru by giving anything better, but I can certainly share what I've learned from my yogic schools. And one thing is that in the heart chakra, there is a bija mantra called yam. It makes a sound, and every petal around the heart chakra has also got subsequent bija mantras as well, subsequent sound vibrations. So I'm not sure entirely here if that is what Krishna is referring to in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Maybe the anahat itself does, every chakra in fact vibrates at a vibration as a swara. There's sapta swaras in music also. When you strike a bell, there was this mention of a ghantanada is the sound of a bell. Now, if you strike a bell, it makes good, even if you have a good pair of kartals, if you were to strike a good pair of kartals, it should make 7 sounds. 7, it should resonate to the count of 7. And that's a really good set of kartals. You have sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa in music. We know that a sound, when a bell is, you get the ding, it should resonate like this. So this is what I'm thinking is that, perhaps this sound vibration of the anahat is connected to the sound of a bell. And even the omkara is reverberated for a long period. So it's a long om that is probably being mentioned here, that you start with the a, u, ma, and it should kind of last the same amount of time as you would ring a bell, probably. So it's probably a conceptual understanding of how the meditation should be done. It's clearly what is being described here is a concept of meditation. And it's talking about how from the chakras, from the Muladhara chakra, you move up to the heart chakra and open up the heart chakra. It's basically raising the consciousness from the base chakra, which is definitely to do with the material world, with feeling grounded and sense of security and those kind of things, and raising it up to the heart chakra, which is really, in one sense, a concept of raising up to the heart to invoke prema eventually. I imagine the concept is to be opening up your heart, is to be more to do with love. It's a higher consciousness. And the prana, for example, that we're raising up, I've practiced, I have some experience of, when I was learning with the yogis, they would use a pranayama or different breathing exercises to help, raise the prana, raise the energy from the Muladhara chakra to the heart. And it's usually done by visualization, actually, because I don't think any of us can feel breathing, at least not in the most pleasant yogic way, in the Muladhara chakra. Usually the air, the life force that functions in the Muladhara region is called apana, or basically passing wind. It's not actually raising to life as prana. Prana, apana, vayana, udana, and samana inside the body. And when you're raising the kundalini, for example, which is a type of energy, it doesn't mention the word kundalini there. It just talks about raising the prana to the heart chakra. So that might be an activation of the heart chakra, but it's not necessarily raising of kundalini. There is probably, maybe later, and I didn't read further, or I probably need to revisit the 11th canto to understand what was written later. But it's coming to the heart chakra. But later we know that Uddhava sends Krishna to go and see those people who have perhaps mastered their heart chakra in Vrindavan.
Krishna sends Uddhava, or Uddhava sends Krishna?
No, Krishna sends Uddhava.
Krishna's, okay, you're talking about his sending him as a messenger. Right.
as a
Right.
messenger. So so he goes, and then so he learns from those people who have probably mastered that heart chakra, and in the most infinitely spiritual way that they could possibly imagine.
Right. Yeah.
So it looks like, from the commentary, from the relevance that has been given on the commentary, that they know what's coming later, that the acharyas know what's coming later, that these instructions are given, but later there is another route to get to the heart chakra. So this is just what I was thinking. This is just a reflection, meditating on what you were saying, Guru Maharaj, and that could be that, that there's another way, there's another route, which is explained later. However, from the deity worship, which Guru Maharaj is also an expert on, we know that there is a lot of meditative practices that are applied.
People always say that. Go ahead, keep going.
Before deity worship is begun, we actually recommended that after taking Ajman, we take Ajman twice, and pranayama is done to steady the mind and the consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And also Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, interestingly, in other shastras mentions that there are some other meditations that he actually employs for visualizing Radha and Krishna in the seat of a heart in the whirl of a lotus. He mentioned this. Mahanidhi Maharaj does a couple of translations on some of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's meditative things, even stating at the end of their meditations that if anybody does this meditation 3 times, he will have darshan of Radha and Krishna.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, that seems to be what's happening here in the 11th canto. Just a couple of verses later from this, verse 34, then we get a whole long series of verses, 36 through 42, describing or directing one to meditate on the Lord in the heart, with so much detail is given.
Yeah. So actually, even also the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam actually also describes the difference between the achala deity and the jala deity, or the deity that is installed in the temple and the deity that's also installed temporarily. So a deity that is temporarily installed, like the deities we have at home, technically speaking, we have to do avahanam daily, invite the deity daily into the form to do the worship in the murti, or the archa vigraha, or the bimba, meaning the form that we're going to be inviting the deity into.
Mm-hmm.
So that if you just kind of look at the whole 11th canto, I guess from kind of taking a step back and looking at it, it is probably kind of a prep work before entering into a much deeper meditation, which is really to visualize Radha and Krishna within the heart. The Omkara, in one sense, is everything starts with the Omkara. Even every mantra starts with Omkara. It kind of prepares the ground for the bijas to later then be sown into. In Tantra, we have bija mantras. Bija mantras are sown, and when they're chanted, they kind of sprout. They sprout into different leaves, and the fruit is born. And the same Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, was it Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur? For the Bhakti Lata? No. My brains. The Bhakti Lata, what is it? The cloud,
Madhurya Kadambini?
Madhurya Kadambini. Also speaks about what, in yoga we have, a process of, how yoga, you achieve samadhi. And in Bhakti Yoga, there's also this process where you actually attain prema. So they have, we have the Bhakti Yoga has its own ascension, and in yoga there is also an ascension to reach samadhi. But what Bhakti Yoga in one sense is that it's achieving a samadhi through a particular process, which goes via this Bhakti Lata Bij, and it's using the same similar kind of parallel principles, but to achieve love or prema. So it does look like that, if you look at the kind of trajectory of the 11th canto and also the look at the pastimes of Uddhava, it ultimately leads to this desire to become a blade of grass in Vrindavan under the lotus feet of the gopis. And,
that's what it boils down to.
Yeah. So this would be my kind of stance on it. But definitely in this day and age for yoga, I have personally experienced this. It did land me in hospital as well. That's another story for another day. But the Kundalini and the chakras, and I kind of had lost faith in it personally. And then eventually, 2 times in my life, I had this experience of my, experience with chakras and experience with Kundalini. And I was proven wrong, put it that way. So
it can be quite dangerous,
Yeah.
I always hear, to deal with Kundalini if one is not really careful.
So Mother Urmila, actually, she gave a seminar back in Nrsimha Kshetra many years ago when the Pandava Sena trip came there many years ago, and Bhakti Jora Maharaj was there also. Sachinanda Maharaj came. I don't know if some of you maybe Nandi Mukhi might have been there at that time, perhaps. But she also gave this, she also spoke about Madhurya Kadambini, and she was speaking about how prema is really the final stage of this bhakti, the fruit of this creeper of devotion fructifying. And she paralleled it to how at different stages of your growth in spiritual life, from bhajana kriya all the way to bhava, all the way to etc., all the way to prema, she kind of did this very interesting parallel to how in yoga stages you achieve different levels of samadhi, up to the different levels of samadhi, which means yama niyama asana, dharana, for example, up to samadhi. And this is the Ashtanga, really. The concept of Ashtanga really is found in Patanjali's,
right.
And he even Ashtanga, Patanjali doesn't really actually mention that it's actually 8 limbs. They just, somebody has later taken out. Later they take out 8 kind of, core principal things that kind of form the Ashtanga, 8 limbs of 8-fold path of what Prabhupada calls 8-fold path of yoga in Bhagavad Gita. So that's my only take on it. But I think through the practice of bhajana kriya and surpassing the state of anartha nivritti, one naturally comes to the state of bhava, where emotions are engaged in Krishna's service. And the life as in bhava or emotions rise anyway to the heart chakra, creating emotion, creating emotion. And then we read this even in the prayers, Guru Vashtaka prayers, that the spiritual master is kampana, he's trembling.
Romancha kampa shrutaranga bajo.
And and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also the Ashta Sattvika Bhavas are there within Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and
oh yes.
So yes, it's dangerous on both levels. It's dangerous to try and awaken your Kundalini. It's dangerous to try, and forcefully force your way up the ladder. Also,
anything premature is going to be dangerous.
Yeah, but I think a steady progress, or what I have learned from my gurus, all my gurus in yoga, and especially in bhakti yoga, is a gradual, steady progress, and with guidance and practice of
wins the race.
Yeah, exactly. I think Guru Maharaj, you can take over the reins now. I've spoken enough now.
Anyway, thank you. That you've brought up many good and relevant points. And maybe we've kind of thrashed this one verse enough for today. But I wanted to point out that we're talking about hermeneutics, which means trying to get to the meaning of something, because that was the question. What is meant by all of this? It's kind of cryptic. So I was showing a little bit how one might find out more from commentators, and then I wanted to show how the commentators work and just give a little taste of that. But now, in the next, we have a few minutes, Dira Lalita is asking about, back to the hermeneutics, there I sent out this file listing the different aspects of the hermeneutic practice that we are gradually going to be teaching. And she's asking about the sixth principle, the bedrock foundation, number 6. Scriptures are consistent and coherent, enabling dialogue between part and whole. What does this mean? Yeah, so now what I'll do today we're sharing screen a lot. So now I'm going to share the screen with this file. So this is from the hermeneutics supplementary materials. And this is a much, much, much longer file than what I've shared so far, because it's giving explanations of each and every single one of the many. There's 6 qualities in the beginning, then 24 principles, then 40 tools. And each one gets some explanation. So we can look. I'm not claiming it all to be systematic now with this presentation, because we're just trying to get our toes in the water a little bit, just to give some ideas. And since we had the question from Ananda Mahi, I thought, okay, let's take that as a way to go in. Although it would be another process to find exactly which principle it is, having to do with context. Oh, here it is. It's number 11. That might be part of what would help. And now Dira Lalita is asking about this number 6 principle, which states scriptures are consistent and coherent, enabling meaningful dialogue between part and whole. So what does this mean? So then comes the explanation, and it starts out with a sutra from the Vedanta Sutra. It's the 4th of the some 500 and something sutras. Tatu samanvayat, which is translated as Lord Krishna is the conclusion because of the agreement of the totality of all scriptural statements. Of course, that's an expansion from the actual word. Samanvayat is the key word. It means agreement. Because of agreement. However, too, because of agreement with that, something like that. Okay, then we just heard about Urmila Devi in Singhachalam. The different members of the Shastra Advisory Council wrote kind of short essays explaining these different principles. So here we can read something. She says, one can understand the parts of the text, like the verses, by the whole of the text. And one can understand the whole of the text by its individual parts. Regarding understanding parts in relation to the whole, we first look at what Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes. And this is quoting Bhaktivinoda, the Vedas are immensely voluminous. Their exact essence can only be extracted by scrutinizing every single shloka from each of the Upanishads, Puranas, and so on. Isolated and out of context statements cannot present a clear picture, but rather distort the real meaning. Ultimately, therefore, Sri Chaitanya tooth-combed, that means he went very carefully through the entire Vedic literature and formulated his most sublime transcendental teachings, presenting the most elevated philosophy of Achintya Veda, namely that the jiva and matter are simultaneously one with and distinct from the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. And that's from Jaiva Dharma. And then she gives an example. For a specific example of how parts can only be understood in relation to the whole, in the 8th canto, chapter 7, Bhagavatam, there are prayers to Lord Shiva to request him to deal with the poison created by churning the milk ocean. In many of these prayers, the descriptions of Shiva would properly apply to Vishnu, not Shiva. And then she gives one example and the translation, O Lord, you are self-effulgent and supreme. You create this material world by your personal energy, and you assume the names Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara when you act in creation, maintenance, and annihilation. Yeah, so the point is going to be made that this is clearly has to be understood in the context. Otherwise, one would go away saying, Lord Shiva is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No, it's not that simple. And she quotes Prabhupada, this prayer is actually offered to Lord Vishnu, the Purusha, who in his incarnations as the Gunavataras assumes the names Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara. Not only do we understand specific texts in relation to the whole work in which they appear, but we also understand the whole work in terms of its parts. There are a number of tools that specifically aid in such understanding, such as Tool 8, the 10 topics of the Bhagavatam, Tool 17, key statement, and Tool 20, 6 criteria to know the main import and conclusions of a work of Shastra. Now, the same principle number 6 also gets an explanation by Gopal Hari Prabhu. And he's giving examples which we don't really have time to go into now. But quite something. It's been a while since I read this. Okay, I've marked one point he makes here. It is important not to interpret these statements through the eyes of Shankara, but to allow the text to speak for itself. Shankara's doctrine of anirvachaniya, for example, says that the world is neither real nor unreal, whereas the Bhagavatam claims that the world is both real and unreal. And he elaborates more on that. And I might mention that Gopal Hari Prabhu knows quite a lot on that particular subject, especially because he studied the Bhagavatam specifically on the subject of how the word Maya is used in the Bhagavatam. And this became his doctoral dissertation, and later it became a book, which we have here. But it's over on the other side. Anyway, it's a book. We have a whole book on the subject of Maya in the Bhagavatam, the many ways that the word Maya is used. Yeah, we're going into some, you may get a sense that these can become very deep waters. And if you got that sense, you wouldn't be wrong. I think another thing we can start to sense is that hermeneutics is, it's a kind of process of weaving a network, a fabric of meaning. And like an expert knitter, someone who can knit, pull over and scarf and all these things. They're just using 2 needles. I always find it kind of mystical. My sister-in-law does it a lot. She makes all these amazing things just by doing this. I don't know if that's an appropriate analogy, but it's a process. What I want to say is the more familiar we are with Shastra, the better we can understand Shastra, because it's reflecting, one element reflects on and supports another, which reflects and supports and expands another element. And more we get the big picture. Of course, that's also what the guru's job is to give us the big picture. And that's what Srila Prabhupada does from the get-go, just from day one. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You could spend years trying to understand that that's the point. So he says, here's the point. The Guru is also teaching us what's important in Shastra and what's not so important. What to pay attention to and what not to worry about. So back to that point, I think we can see that a little bit indicated in this first case of the verse from the 11th canto about the technicalities of pranayama and meditation on Omkara in the heart. The details of that, our acharyas didn't seem to consider as so important because they don't really elaborate. Krishna, Krishna. I think we're about where we can be for now, for today. My apologies to those of you who have further comments. Maybe you can bring them back next time and we can discuss. Yeah, so on that note, Hare Krishna. All the best to all of you. Thank you all for joining us from all over the universe. I see Tarani Saki from Slovenia, and yeah, and Sitarani all the way from Hong Kong. And I don't know who is Carly Zanyuk. There's some, oh, that's Ipek.
No, it's Shravana Ramania, probably.
Oh, Shravana Ramania. Oh, okay. You suddenly moved. Okay. All right. And Ipek is there. Are you in Munich or are you in Turkey, Ipek?
I am in Turkey right now, and next week we have a Bhakti camp in Turkey for the 7th time. So it's devotees from all over the country coming together.
Oh, very nice. Very
and
nice.
I will be here for that and then going to Munich.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Wishing you all a very nice week, a safe week, a happy week, a chanting Hare Krishna and Krishna's Mercy Week. And yes, all good things. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo.
His Holiness Krishna Kshetra Swami Maharaja ki jai.
Everyone.
Everyone.